Life is about telling a story. And tech now allows the clubs, the fans, the brands to tell a story even better than they could before. And the experience of being present somewhere, shaking the hand and taking a picture on the pitch, although you are based in somewhere around Europe. Yeah. And the ability to bring people together, although you're on your own, experiencing something together. Technology has the ability to do that.
Welcome to 20-Minute Leaders. Just sit back, relax, and learn from the leaders of today. It's a journey. Each one is different, unique, inspiring. Let's get started. 20-Minute Leaders is a proud supporter of Make-A-Wish Israel and Tech to Peace, and is in proud collaboration with Secret Chord Ventures, J Ventures, Riverside FM, Fusion VC, Birthright Excel, J Impact, Leap, Google for Startups, and Hippo, and in media partnership with CTech. Hello and welcome to 20-Minute Leaders. This episode is all about innovation in sports. Meet Amir Raveh, the founder of Hype Sports Innovation. The Global Sportstech Arena, with equity portfolio of over 250 sports tech and Web 3.0 startups. Hype provides tech solutions to top 100 sports brands like Bundesliga, PSG, NBA, NFL team, and more. Amir was the founder of MG Equity Investments House in 2003. He's the author of Acquired Charisma and an avid soccer player. He's also the founder and CEO of Mediacall Ltd in London, which was sold in 2003. Amir is married and has 4 sons. Hype is such an interesting organization. It looks like you're dealing right at this intersection of sports, consumers, entertainment, and technology, and how all of this comes together, but not just yourself, but with a very large community of people, either from the sports side, the tech side, or the investment side. So I'm looking forward to sort of unwrapping with you what is Hype and how is this part of your own journey as founder and CEO. So Amir, maybe tell me a little bit about yourself, how you got introduced into this whole sports world, and what is sort of this vision for Hype?
I very much believe, in part of the way of sharing the story of Hype and sharing any kind of vision is through stories. And
I like that.
Recently I remembered when I was 5 years old, my grandpa in Jerusalem, which was Beitar Yerushalayim, Beitar Jerusalem diehard fan, took me when I was 5 to see the rivalry team, Hapoel Yerushalayim, because that was the only game that was that weekend, and I was so persistent to see something, as I liked football, and my father couldn't care less to sports. And I remember him taking me to the game and coming to the pitch, through the stairs, seeing the grass and really feeling it in my guts, this feeling. And I have it with me. He then told me that I brought a pair of shoes in case one of the players will be wounded and I will need to jump into the game and play. I was 5. The game was Hapoel Jerusalem versus Hapoel Haifa. It was 0-0. He said the most boring game in the world. But for me, it was an unforgettable experience. Now, 40 years later, I'm taking my son to Germany, to the Bundesliga, to see FC Köln versus Bayern Munich in Cologne. And my son is in my hand. We had an accelerator for sports tech there. And I'm looking around and I'm saying, bloody hell, not much has changed since I was a kid. You have a big screen, but not a lot more has changed. You think about it.
Sure.
So later on, together with the German partner, Bernd Waller, which used to be the CMO of Adidas, Global Adidas, we developed Hype Sports Innovation to the next stage. And then we have nine accelerators of sports tech around the world, including one in NYU, Australia with Queensland University, in London, many others. And
so, Amir, I just want to revisit that point you're mentioning, that you're seeing the stifling, perhaps, or stifled innovation in such a meaningful part. And you're saying it doesn't align. The world is shifting. We have technology. We have things happening. Why is my experience as a consumer, or for my kid now, the same as it was for me when I was, at his age 40 years ago? But still, at that moment, what is the thesis that you build around the potential for innovation and technology to be integrated into sports? What is sort of your role in that?
In that stage, I saw that there is a gap, there is an opportunity, that there is a lot of sports around me, and I couldn't, a lot of innovation around me, and I couldn't really explain why there is not enough innovation in sports yet. Later on, I started really analyzing it and understand why the big teams were, I would say, fat and happy and not needing to innovate. Now, of course, with the new generation, Z generation, and the streaming and the esports around them, they have to innovate in order to get hold of the next generation. But back then, we're talking 5-6 years ago, it was only in its early stages. And I would say, as an entrepreneur in the wrong side of the 50s, I thought maybe it's about time I do something I really, really love, which my passions always were sports and innovation. As an entrepreneur, I sold my business in 2003. I lived in London for 10 years, sold it, and then started investing in a small investment house called MG Equity Partners. But it wasn't really there. I was looking, to come back to my entrepreneurial role, to create something, to make an impact, to drive something forward. And with hype, and that's what we're doing. And you rightly said in the beginning, what is actually hype is doing, because it looks a little bit, I would say, all over the place. What we found is that in order to help entrepreneurs and startups and invest in them later on, we need to have also the other side. We need to have the brands as partner.
Yeah.
So we started working and supporting the brands, the clubs, the federations, like the Golden State Warriors, like the Paris Saint-Germain, like FIBA, Swiss Timing, Wilson Sports, and many others, where globally we can work with them, enable them to use the best innovations. And on the other hand, once we have them as customers, we can bring them the best technologies and the best startups.
Got it. And so as you're positioning, sort of building through this accelerator investment platform, the brands, what is the messaging? What is the platform that brings everybody together, that allows for this innovation to actually take place?
I think that the vision that we had, and I think it's still very much, very strong still, is to impact people's lives through the power of sports and innovation. And if you think about it, if you're an entrepreneur, lives in, San Diego, or in Torino, or in Beersheba, the biggest, I would say, hurdle, or the biggest jump for you to really break through will be to get a pilot or commercial deal with a top-tier club.
Mm-hmm.
Then it will be much easier to get the investors, and it all will unfold properly in place. So that's what we do, basically. And what we felt is that as a platform that is global, originally with all the 9 accelerators globally, but then with the pandemic, and we started the GVA, Global Virtual Accelerator, we shut down all the physical accelerators in a day, and we created this global platform, which, to be honest, is much more effective. Of course, I see my kids more, which is better, and much better from my wife's perspective as well. But in as a whole, we've learned to work as a global community with mentors. We have about 100 mentors from all over the world. We have investors, we have brands, and of course, startups. We see about 1,500 startups a year. So that's created a platform which really brings value to the different stakeholders and continue to grow. And we believe that through this platform, because sports is so powerful, you can really impact if you have this global, and every side of the platform can engage and can give value to the other.
Can you give me some examples of where innovation really is taking place in the sports world, just for people who may not necessarily be experiencing it in the day-to-day? What are some things that you're excited about as innovation is unfolding in sports?
So when I'm speaking to people, like if I'm meeting somebody which is not into specifically sports or sports tech, and he hears sports, he thinks, so you do this Garmin innovation on the hand stuff that people can. So sports is more than that. Yeah. To give you an idea, we're doing this weekend, we have a game between Roma and Tottenham Hotspur. Two of the biggest European, I would say top 10 European clubs coming to Israel, to Haifa, to Sami Ofer, where we create the iTech Cup, which is basically, it's a competition, it's a cup around innovation, where since we are not part of this, we don't have the restrictions of the leagues and UEFA, we can put any innovation we want. And if you're asking which are the innovations that will be the stars of the show, so for example, you will be able to see the ball from the angle of the player. Imagine, we have Harry Kane from England coming. If he's shooting a penalty, you can see the penalty from his angle. You can see it from the goalkeeper. We have a camera on the referee. Here. We have NFT and metaverse engagement to the fans globally, so they can engage, they can talk to each other. They have additional content which they wouldn't have through the regular broadcasting, which is in parallel.
So what are ways in which NFT and the metaverse are going to impact engagement of fans? If I'm a fan of a sports team, how is this new virtual engagement going to increase my presence or my engagement with this team or player that I love?
Yeah, I would say that it's yet to be clear. I would say the full impact, like any kind of new technology and the Web3 or the Web 2.5, how this will impact sports and how this will impact not only sports, all the other things. But since blockchain is a very real, I would say, technology, which brings a lot of unique values, I think this is the basic that will be the fuel for all the Web3 to continue to grow. Add to this a layer of a new monetization platform that was not there before, to the clubs, the brand, the federations. If you look at the NBA Top Shots, which is trading in, hundreds of million dollars, and and you look at the number of investment now being done in NFT. NFT from 2020 to 2021 jumped in 210 times the overall revenue of transactions. So it's crazy numbers. Again, not all of them have real substance behind it. But when you have a combination of a real technologies, blockchain, and a real new monetization tool, which need to be refined, and there will be some corrections. And maybe most of the NFTs now are not going to be here for a long time. But still, this as a fan, coming back to your question, as a fan, if you hold a ticket to the final in Wembley, if you're an English fan of some of the teams, and you have it as an NFT, and this NFT also gives you credit or access to a shop later on when you can get something, or you can get access to another game with a discount, or you can have this as a memorabilia. That's something that probably people will use. We are doing now a scarves where have some kind of NFC chip into them so you can really get into a game. It allows you just to walk in. It allows you access to additional content, which nobody else has if you have this stuff. So there is now the metaverse, of course, you can engage and meet friends and play games and watch the game there in the metaverse. Yeah. So and the young generation is being used to living in the games, and metaverse to some extent is another form of game. You can just see that there is a potential here to create something big. And hype, we would like to continue help drive this industry forward, help be a full force for good. So to look at regulation, to look at what we can do to make this, to help to structure things in a better manner. And alongside that, continue to build our business. We are a for-profit organization. Sure. We have a portfolio now of about 250 startups we have equity in. So to continue to build our equity and have some fun on the way, if possible.
So this equity is primarily from the accelerator that you bring in those startups and you work with them and you create that platform for them, right?
Yes. And it started actually when I was an entrepreneur about 27 years old. How old are you, Michael?
27.
Okay, your age. I remember after starting my own company in London, after I did I had 4 pilots with a 4th brand, which was the Bank of Scotland. I got a no after a pilot of 3 months. And I remember I felt it's the end of the world and I had nobody to talk to. It was 97.
Wow.
There was very little internet, if at all. I don't think YNET was around by then. To speak to somebody, you needed to call it. It cost a fortune. I had very few people in London I knew. And I was really on my own. I remember walking on London Bridge and walking and looking down, literally. And today, and one of the reasons we created this startup and founders platform is to enable them not to be on their own.
Wow.
To enable them to have other founders they can talk to have mentors in different topics. Mentor can save you thousands. We didn't have YouTube there where we can just log in. How do I penetrate the UK? How do I close a deal? And you see everything. So this was behind, I would say, some of it I could see only in hindsight. But when I look back, I think the feeling of being on your own is something that I would say had a very strong impact.
No, and I can see you're taking your own experience, and this is a meaningful part of why you're creating this community, right? It's not just an investment arm. It's not just a mitigator between parties. You really do value working with the founders and creating some community for them to get assistance from and help from, right?
Absolutely.
So if we're looking at the future of sports and innovation and tech, what are some things that you're particularly excited about as an entrepreneur yourself? So you're seeing all these amazing companies. You were talking about the different point of views of the metaverse, etc. Are there other things that are non-trivial that maybe we can get excited for, and how sports are going to be intertwined with our lives, maybe in a few years down the line?
I think that, looking at your question, I think it's difficult to predict how things will shape up, especially with the young generation, my kids, which, their way they see and live their, I would say, through gaming and through the different new platforms they have. I do know that sports has a very special power to connect people and have a very special power to do good. I want to see sports more involved in that. I know that, for example, if you think about the potential of metaverse, it remains to be seen how I would say, regulations will work, safety, etc. But in terms of equal opportunities, allowing people from everywhere in the world to participate in an experience and to be part of this, not everybody can fly and see the Champions League final.
Right.
Allowing people to experience, allowing people to communicate, allowing, reducing emission by, less people flying. There are a lot of good things that can happen. And as, coming back to the beginning of the session, life is about telling a story.
Sure.
And tech now allows the clubs, the fans, the brands to tell a story even better than they could before. And the experience of being present somewhere, shaking the hand and taking a picture on the pitch, although you are based in somewhere around Europe. Yeah. And the ability to bring people together, although you're on your own with an empty fridge and nobody is home, but experiencing somebody do something together. Technology has the ability to do that. Whether we will be able to, all of us will be able to use that to do better, to do good, to put people together. This is for us to prove. This is for us to execute.
Thank you, Amir. This was wonderful. Really appreciate your time and the stories, and I can see how this all ties back to your own experience as an entrepreneur. And so I love it, and I look forward to continue seeing the awesome work that you're doing with Hype. And personally, get excited about how I will be integrating into the sports world myself, not just as a player, but as a consumer. So thank you very, very much.
Pleasure to be here, Michael, and I see the work you're doing around spreading goodness around the world. So good luck with that, and well done.
Thank you very, very much.